Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where it's about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Wedding Season, a great season finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we're immediately picking up in the aftermath the last episode, and now I love that Mitzi is the most annoying hostage ever, because she's like, oh my god, I know you're going to kill me, aren't you? She's like, what? No. It's like, oh my god, I know what you're going to sex traffic me. She's like, I interviewed someone like this once, and this is exactly how it goes. It's like, shut up, just let me figure this out, come on. And then I love that she's like, all right, get out of the car, and she's like getting out the car, and it's like, oh really? It's like, what? This is like the after party aspect of my outfit, and she's like trying to get away, and Katie's like, where the fuck are you going? Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? Just get in the fucking building. And she's just so frustrated. But the problem is, and it is sad because in her mind, it's like, oh my god, Mitzi's such a ditz. But it's like, no, I actually, I might play, like, the rich, like, ditzy daughter. But it's like, no, I actually do have a law degree. And that paperwork you have actually means nothing because legally you can't do anything with it. So, literally, in this moment for Katie, it's like, in this moment, everything she did has been for nothing then. Just because it's like, right, with everything playing out the way it did, she's kind of walking away with nothing. So, what's the point of it? And once again, these past episodes, you see that pain, that sorrow in Katie's eyes. Oh my god, dude, when she really, like, brings it home with the whole, like, yeah, have you ever been so angry? She's like, I mean, really, really angry that you feel like you could just, like, punch the earth and, like, reach into the molten core. And Mitzi's like, yeah, I've been angry before. She's like, but never like that. She's like, well, I'm like that all the time. I want to hurt everybody. I want to hurt myself. That she's like, I'm so seething with it, because it's like, well, at the end of the day, what do you want? And I was immediately like, oh, she probably wants, just probably like anyone in that situation, probably just wants her dad back, and to some extent, but it's more so like, right, she wanted her life back before she made these choices that she can't take back now. She wants to be with Stefan. She just wants to have a normal life. It's like, Stefan, wait, is that the other stylist? Is like, yeah. She's like, I thought I was catching a vibe. It's like, oh my god, well, do you love him? It's like, well, yeah. But he wants to have nothing to do with me. But hey, Stefan rolls up. It's like, oh my god. And Mitzi's like, oh my god, yay. It's like, because, it's like, I guess she's a sucker for a good romance story too. But Stefan's not here of his own volition. Metz is like, yeah, you go in there, get Mitzi out, or I'm going to blow your brains out. Which Mitzi, still tied to that statue, jumps out the window, and then she's running. But the problem is, like, yeah, we need Mitzi. Why? Well, because she has the phone. It's like, it's fine. You already sent Met's confession. And it's like, what, you didn't send the confession? She's like, a lot of shit was going on. I wasn't thinking clearly. It's like, yeah, obviously. So it's like, yeah, she was just so angry. Like, this was never the plan. It's like, she didn't really know what the end result was going to be. Because even I was like, where are you going to go with that? Because it's like, how is this all going to help you, benefit you in the end? So now they have to get to Mitzi. And now it's this situation of, like, at the same time all this is going down, you have Katie trying to apologize. It's like, right, I'm sorry that everything went down the way it did. I'm sorry that, I was going to kill Papa Delaney, but when it's all said and done, like, she confesses, like, I love you. And for Stefan, it's like, when this is all said and done, like, he's like, I wish I'd never met you. And when this is all said and done, if we make it out of this alive, you will never see me again. And it's like, Katie's almost like, okay. And so she's like, right, I'm going to be the distraction. Because because at the very least, when it was all said and done, she was hoping to still have Stefan in the end. That's also why she didn't tell him, because she was, like, so upset with herself. And once again, she didn't know, like, how he would react. And, so. And then there's, so many beautiful elements. For one, Stefan talking to Mitzi. It's like, right, help me out, and I can help you out in this situation. So it's like, right, you want to be with Gloria. You don't even want to be with White. She's like, yeah, Gloria's like the sexiest person I know. And she's like, I'm a bit of a nerd, and she's super cool. And I'm like, oh, there's like, once again, I love that, like, that character's so beautifully ditzy. It's like, right, the fact that you can have that conversation all while this is all kind of going down, so. And because she's like, yeah, I thought I was only into guys, but then she was like, that was just like the heritage, like, heterosexual norms, like, kind of like, conditioning me to think like that, It's like, yeah. So, Stefan's attempt to be like, hey, you either do this or I'm gonna kill Mitzi, like, let us go. But it's like, right, I know you, Stefan, you don't have it in you. It's like, oh, really? Because admittedly, he has done a lot of crazy shit over the past couple of days for Katie, so can't really put anything past him, but he isn't, unlike them. And you kind of have to lump Katie into that somewhat now. It's like, right, unlike them, she's not a murderer, so, and he's not a murderer, so that's why Metz is probably like having, once again, the Delaney's probably aren't the first people she's ever killed. Like, she's probably killed other people too, well before now, because who knows what the block has asked of her, and she's probably obliged them. So it's like, probably aren't the first time she's committed murder, so, you know. But, your boy Donahue shows up at the last minute. I was like, yo, he came to try and talk her down. And we actually got a little more backstory with her than with Metz than I thought we would. So I was like, right. She said she was a criminal long before she became a cop. So I guess she became a cop specifically for the block. They probably needed someone on the inside. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because I was like, oh, because he was like, yeah, like, what, are they blackmailing you? Are they threatening you? It's like, no. I was like, either she meant like she was a criminal working for the block the entire, like, well before she became a cop, or she was just a criminal in general. I mean, who knows? Maybe it stems from her family, like she came from a criminal background, and then the block just happened to be like, bring this criminal into the fold, and then made her a cop. Who knows? Or it could be she was a criminal, I feel like you would have to have some connections like the block to become a cop of a criminal, but I guess if you hide your criminal history well, or I mean, there's so much room there that it's like you could interpret that so many different ways. I mean, it's not really that important, but it is interesting to know what was her motivation. So for her, it's like, this kind of comes second nature to me. She's like, she kind of is like, I enjoy being a criminal. This is what I'm best at. This is kind of all I've ever known. Even being a cop was just a mask to hide who I really was underneath. But Donahue was like, no, despite everything, you're a good person. You know, it's like, right, because he wants to believe the best in her because, hey, he loves her. He's like, you could have shot me back at the police station. You could have shot me out. Because what did she do? She pistol whipped him and knocked him out. I mean, I guess the argument could be killing a cop would have drawn even more attention. Like, at least leaving him alive. It's like, right, it's just a mess that their bosses would have had to clean up, but killing him would have. But I think she still had her reluctance because she does care about him. That was my thought immediately. Like, right, she pistol whipped you, and in this moment, she shot him. I don't think she knew that. Yeah, she didn't know he was wearing a bulletproof vest. She thought she was killing him. I was like, oh man. I was like, that sucks. I was like, this is how that's really going to go. So when he's still alive at the end, I'm like, oh my god, yes. Oh, Donahue. Oh, I was scared. I was scared for a second there. Stefan's trying to get up, have a signal to send the video, which later on when he says he sent the video, I'm like, he didn't actually send the video. Wait, did the video actually go through? I thought it was in a process of going through when Metz shot the phone, but I was like, I guess it went through. Turns out later on we found out it didn't, but Katie ended up getting shot during all the scuffle, and now it's like the thing of like, okay, I gotta, we gotta find a way out of this, and she's apologetic, She's like, oh, you actually look worried about me, Steph. And he's like, yeah, I might not want to see you anymore, but that doesn't mean I want to see you dead. Okay? That doesn't mean I don't want to see you at least be okay. You know, so he's like, yeah, if this was anyone else under these circumstances. And even Mitzi shows kind of a good person Mitzi is. It's like, right, I guess he's the middle guy in all of this, so she ended up bringing Donahue in. He's like, oh yeah, this guy's been shot. Yeah, the bulletproof vest didn't help all the way through. Like, I guess where he got shot, or maybe just the bullet it's one of those bullets that kind of pierced the vest a little bit. So Katie wanted to end all this, so she's willing to sign over to that building, which is heartbreaking because of what that means to her. She wanted to get something back from her dad. It's like, this is the last thing she can. Like, that's what this has all been about, getting revenge for her dad. And the ultimate revenge would mean getting that building back. And she was like, right, if I can't get the building back, like, I'll get the building back just to tear it down so that they can't have it. Like, what they've turned that building into, like, what that means, I just tear it down. But it's like, but the way Donahue puts it is like, legally she can do that. Because in the prenup, in the event of her death, she made it so that it goes to Stefan, which Stefan has to lie and be like, yeah, I'm sending it to Dolphins. And Donahue's like, Dolphins? He's like, yeah, Dolphins are great. Even Katie's like, oh, your prov skills suck. Okay. So it's like, right, it's less of an issue. If you kill me, it's going to be more like, you're going to go through more of a headache to legally get it back. You know, they had to bluff their way out of that situation. Because basically how it goes down to, with Delaney's dead, everything ends up going to Uncle Fred because Katie was accused of being the murderer. But now that Uncle Fred is dead, it kind of goes all to them. But now that it's been proven that Katie wasn't the murderer and that it was actually Metz, it all goes back to Katie, like the prenup initially was, about how everything was legally set up, because they did legally get married, even though they were only married for a little while before Hugo kicked the bucket, but still. So it all does default back to Katie now, so she does have the power and position to do this. And I love it. It's like, while they're making the negotiations, it's like, oh yeah, also, Mitzi wants to know, man. And I love that she's, oh my, Gloria, there you are. Oh my God, baby, you look so sexy when you're working. And Gloria's just kind of like, she's like, oh, I'll talk to you later, bye. I was like, oh, it's so cute. And it's like, cool, let's sign the deal. And it's like, right, Katie's once again willing to give up everything just to make sure Stefan and the others. I mean, it's self-preservation, so that, I mean, because Donahue is just, I think she was more so worried about them, but it's like, right, she did say specifically, me and my friends go, so I guess she counted Donahue in that, because it's like, right, he's a good guy, came here to save our lives too, so. But, Mitzi's dad kind of accepts it, and it's like, alright, and then Mitzi comes out, and Gloria jumps in, oh, we should get married. She's like, oh, it's a big commitment, puts her hand over, like, no, Dad, we're getting married tomorrow. And he's like, anything, sweetie. It's like, once again, it's the thing you kind of, criminals have their family too, like, big bad criminals love their family too. Now that the video was out there, it's like, oh, is it out there? It's like, well, check your phones, but no one has a signal, luckily. So I was like, oh, well. And then, like, Mitzi's dad is like, okay, so is that video out there? And Metz is like, yo, let me check the record before she could even fit. I was like, the way this angling look, I was like, I could easily see that person right behind her. It's like, but no. And I was thinking the person behind, I don't know if it was the same person, but someone just walks up, blam. I was like, yo, she got it just like a certain other character in a season finale got it. I was like, oh. And it breaks Donahue, because it's like, Stefan's like, I know you wanted to bring her in. He was like, I didn't want to bring her in. I wanted to run away with her. Like, and who knows if she actually would have. I don't know. The hesitancy, the fact that she didn't immediately pull the trigger, the fact that she still pulled the trigger regardless. It's like, both of them are suckers. I keep saying suckers. That's like, both of them are, I guess suckers for love, but it's like, it's not, suckers isn't the right word I want to use. I just can't find the word I want to use. They're just two people madly in love with some complicated women in their lives. And sadly, things played out this way. Donahue doesn't even, get Metz. It's like, right, he's not even a DI anymore. So it's like, right, we could have ran off, like, done whatever. It's like, you're my partner, you're my friend, you're my, he didn't even, because I guess they never established, like, are we even boyfriend and girlfriend? I mean, we, sleep together, so. But it meant something to Metz too, but maybe she was so busy trying to, I don't know. Like, he was willing to throw it, because he had nothing left. It's like, right, he can't go back to being a DI even after all of this is said and done, and probably wouldn't want to, so. But, yeah, Katie and Stefan, it's like, right, we'll figure this out, because it's like, I shouldn't, considering everything we've been through, but I can't help but love you. And she said, I really, really love you too. He's like, you can't kind of say the same thing. She's like, well, you're obnoxiously honest. She's like, you have such a moral high ground. Plus, all you did was complain the entire time we were running. He's like, I remember it being a pretty stressful time. So, you're like, okay, what's about the entire time I was like, is this going to have a happy ending? And it's like, wow, lucky that video went through. Sadly, maybe when we leave here, we could send that video out. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, the video didn't go through. What? And you sent me out there? I was like, I didn't know you were going to do that. She was like, I could have died. He's like, well, yeah, I but I didn't know you were going to do that. I mean, we should talk this about before. And he's like, communication is more than just talking. So, at the end, you're like, oh, all's well that ends well. Then we kind of pick up some time later. They're all hanging out together. It's like, well, despite everything, Katie is innocent. The people who know that Katie did, in fact, try and kill Delaney is only, I guess, Stefan's group, because it's like, oh, who made the drinks? Katie, haha. And then he gets slapped. It's like, his wife is like, are you stupid? Don't do that. It's too soon. Plus, it's very tied to a very traumatic thing of her losing her dad too. Like, just shut the hell up. Like, why would you make that joke? Because no one was laughing. I was like, that's too soon. It's probably only been like a couple days, maybe. But, also, I do like that Suji, And her and the photographer are still together because she was in the last episode as well, like helping them send all that porn to Mitzi's wedding. But also Jackson's like, yeah, I'm not into the whole monogamy thing because his boyfriend, he was like, yeah, I got too clingy and I guess it just depends if you met the right person or not. And just for him, it's like because I think it's like being with someone, you kind of you feel that you see other people happy, you kind of want that, and you're in a relationship. You're like, honestly, it's not for me. Even Stefan being like, oh yeah, I'm done with weddings and stuff like that. I'm not going to marry Katie. And Katie's like, oh yeah, sure. Everyone's like, sure, Mister, I'm obsessed with weddings and stuff like that. It's like that's all you've ever wanted. But it's like after everything, maybe getting married isn't all that great, but just being with her is enough. I think you probably also, maybe there's this whole thing of like, right, all the weddings you've been to over the, because, wedding season is officially over now. Well, it's the last night of it, essentially. So it's like, yeah. So that's kind of nice. And then I was like, oh, is the episode really just going to end here? And then I was like, oh, okay. And then it continued. I was like, oh boy. And the moment they're going towards the car, I was like, the car's going to blow up, isn't it? It read like a scene where the car was going to blow up. I wasn't expecting Katie to be right beside the car when it blew up. I was like, oh my God, luckily you guys are going to be making out and it's going to take some time for the car. It's like, because I figured like the moment they go blip, blip, like the car would explode. But it's like, I guess maybe it was on the timer. Katie got close and boom. I was like, that's a fucked up way to end the season. And I did look into it just really quickly. There is still, because I've gotten to this late, like the time frame between, it's probably been like at least a month or two between the last like review and like / upload, because I did episode 5. Like it's been such a space in between just because I've gotten so sidetracked with other stuff. I haven't just had the chance yet, but geez, that's a hell of a way to end the season. I was like, I hope they don't, Katie isn't dead, because I like the whole her and Stefan dynamic is so damn good. Because also like Rosa Salazar, especially in this role, like I said, like it brought, because it feels unfair, but it almost feels like almost right. The fact is that it ends that way, because for one, the blockman, yeah, like Mitzi's dad was like, yeah, oh, it's fine. It's like, no, you know too much, so you have to die. 2, you kidnapped my daughter, so that's already going to rub me the wrong way. So like, you can only assume it's like they weren't going to let you just walk away after everything. So I hope Katie isn't dead, but it'd be interesting if she was, because she went on this path of revenge. And once again, when you go for revenge, you have to dig 2 graves for yourself and the person you're trying to kill and yourself. And her grave was already dug the moment she went down this path. So there's that. And now Stefan could end up being the one on a path of revenge, where it's just kind of like, right, like you could see like in a season 2, them going to Katie's funeral and Stefan, it's like, right, taking everything he's learned and maybe finding new love along the way on his path towards revenge. Maybe, maybe not. Or at the very least, Katie faked her death, and then all of a sudden, like the entire first episode, he's mourning her, trying to find his way forward, trying to get revenge on the block, but his friends are telling him not to. And then at the very end of the episode, Katie's like, hey, I'm still alive. It's like, wait, you let me mourn you all this time? It's been a year, and now it's wedding season all over again? Well, because we know that apparently, like, Mitzi wanted to get married to Gloria, but it's like, oh, we're going to get married tomorrow. It's like, well, maybe it's next wedding season that they ultimately end up getting married or something like that. I don't know. I can see that being a possibility. Like I was saying earlier, it's been a while. Like, I've been so sporadic with this show, but I'm still looking it up. The latest articles I've seen haven't said whether or not the show has gotten. So I guess it's still up in the air where what show is going to land. I hope the show does get another season, because it felt like this could have easily been a story where it's like, yeah, I could see this just being a one and done season, but with the ending, it's like no. And I think I was reading that like the writers or like the creators behind this are actively working on a season 2, just, ready to kind of go ahead. Like, they've written up a season, they're writing a season 2 currently in case like they get the go ahead to like, yep, season 2's been greenlit. Let's immediately jump into production type of thing. So, I hope we get a season 2, because I do legitimately like the show. I'm kind of bummed I didn't like completely do it all like at once. It's been, like I said, so sporadic, but like I said, I've just gotten so sidetracked. There's so much stuff I'm far behind on too, but oh my God, I've really loved this show. Like I said, like I could easily see that, like, this is, I like that this show being what it is. Something referred to it as like the anti-romantic comedy. It feels more like an act, like I said at the time, like an action romance. Like there are movies and stuff that feel kind of like this, kind of the action romance comedy aspect of it. But it's like, yeah, I hope we do get a season 2, because it's not like, everything, like, no, they left that in, that's a super cliffhanger ending, and I need a resolution to this story, and all you would probably have to do is, like, one more season, especially because they set the block up, and I was like, how are you going to just, like, end this, considering, like, there's no way you're going to take down an organization of this magnitude, but it's like, right, probably could one more season, because the entire season could be about taking down the block and getting revenge. Like I said, I hope it isn't a situation that Katie's dead. I hope it is a situation that, like, once again, like I said, at the end of the first episode, she's like, hey, Stefan. He's like, wait, you're still alive? It's like, yeah, I'm sorry I had to fake my death, but I had to make sure, or maybe like, I had to make sure you were okay, you were safe, like, because being around me was dangerous, like I told you. So, I don't know. I could easily see that, but there's also the possibility that they could super be like, no, Katie's super dead. I was like, I hope that's not the case. After everything, I'd want them to have their happily ever after, and to kind of snatch that away from them like this would suck. But, that could just be, once again, the nature of things, the sad nature of, like, the path of revenge she went on. But like I said, it'd almost be interesting that if they did kill Katie, like I said, it'd be that passing of the torch of, like, right, that path of revenge being what Stefan's going down. I don't know. It'd be so fascinating to see how they would handle everything in a season 2. So fingers crossed, hoping that there will be a season 2. But that's really all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.